This series begins where the final China video ended, sharing a bowl of chicken's testicles with my new friend Pangcha at the China-Vietnam border. So, Pingcha has just told me that, well, can you show me?
Jiao. Jiao.
He just told me these are cockerel balls. But allow me to back up a little bit. Before arriving in the Chinese border town of Laokai, I'd spent the last 2 years pedalling a unicycle 10,000 miles from my home in Somerset, England, across Europe, through Turkey, onwards towards a freight ship across the Caspian Sea that delivered me to Central Asia, whereafter I made my most recent ride of 3,400 miles across mainland China. As well as attempting to become the first person to circumnavigate the world by unicycle, I'm ultimately making this trip to expose myself to foreign cultures, push myself physically, and to raise awareness of the Somerset-based charity School in a Bag that provide educational tools to children in all corners of the globe. Oh, and I should probably add that what you're about to watch was shot all the way back in February 2017. Yes, it's taken me a long time to put these videos together, but I think that you'll agree that the long wait was worth it. So sit back, relax, pull up your own plate of chicken's testicles, and I hope you enjoy watching my experiences unicycling from the top of Vietnam down to Singapore. This is Ed Unicycles Southeast Asia. Enjoy. Shisho Pancha. Thank you. I'll see you. Do you need more time? Yes, I need more time. I'm in Vietnam, I'm at a cash point, and these are the options. I can get 100,000 Vietnamese dollars, 500,000, a million Vietnamese dollars. I think that's about 35 quid. Whoa, look at that. There's my million Vietnamese dollars. I'm a bloody millionaire. Now I need to find somewhere cheap to stay. I need to try and work out what is cheap, because I've got no idea what stuff costs around here. Well, millions of dollars apparently. So I'm no longer a millionaire. I have only 600,000 left. Super exciting thing that I just realised. Here's my phone. I can just open Facebook or YouTube or Google without having to use a VPN. Look at this! No! It's Chinese censorship. Ooh, it just opens! I took the next day off the unicycle to rest my legs and to start exploring this new country. It's just weird that it's like hanging on here, yeah? I don't need. No, shit. It's alright. Good morning! I'm in Vietnam. That lady had a cockerel on her handlebars. I have to say, I haven't seen that one before.
You take your dreams and you put them in a bottle. You take your bottles and you put them on a shelf just out of reach.
I couldn't rest for long, however, as my visa was only good for 14 days.
Just out of reach.
The next day I packed up the unicycle and started my journey south.
You keep your feelings locked away in little boxes. You keep your boxes locked away inside a room without a key.
This mountain got the better of me. I'm walking now.
Away from
I don't know what gradient it is. Like, I'm actually struggling to walk and push the unicycle up. That kind of shows how steep it is.
let me in. You won't let me in.
Good morning. I've been in Vietnam now for just over a week, I think. And it's beautiful. It's hard work. These hills are nothing like the kind of smooth gradients you get in China. In China it's lovely because you just kind of go through tunnels and go over bridges and it smooths out the gradient. Here, the roads just go over mountains, which has been hard work, and I've been walking up some of the steeper and longer passes. But it's pretty. I'm 85 miles from the Laos border. I think the road's going to get pretty hilly today. I turn off the river that I've been following for the last 50 miles or so, and just start heading into some much steeper mountains. I don't think they're very high, I just think it's a lot of just up and down, up and down, up and down, so it could be quite slow. It was slow, and that coupled with the 90% humidity meant that I had to frequently stop and ask locals for water. After restocking, this family kindly invited me to lunch. So, Bambao New Teu? Try. Yeah.
Bạn bao nhiêu tuổi? À, bạn bao nhiêu tuổi? Bạn 16 tuổi. Nói không hiểu đâu. 16 tuổi.
Yeah.
16 tuổi.
Yeah. Okay, he is. Me, 8 tuổi.
16 tuổi.
Thằng này biết không biết nói gì
Vâng.
I'm 21.
21 tuổi. 21 tuổi đây 16 tuổi.
Got it. I need to keep riding. Game on.
Cảm ơn. Rồi.
Today, don't know if you can see it, going up that hill. Let's move it up a little bit. Yeah, going up there. Say hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hal and gang I've met, and we're just riding down this mountain together. By themselves, I'm sure these kids would be blasting down these hills, but while they were riding with me, they pulled on their brakes, and gang even helped me with a bit of filming.
I never try to change you. I never rearrange you. You won't let me in.
Soon after leaving Hal and gang, I spotted these guys with white face masks by the side of the road. I just had to stop and ask them what they were up to. Yeah, okay. Why? Where? I feel like good skin. We struggled to communicate, but eventually I worked out that the masks were to beautify their faces for the big day tomorrow. Fam's wedding is tomorrow, and they're saying tonight they're going to kill a cow. They're going to drink a lot, so I'm invited to stay, so I'm going to stay tonight, so that's great. So it's Fam, Kain, and Gum.
Yes.
Yeah?
Hello.
Because the guys are taking me up the hill to their home for lunch, unfortunately I missed the actual slaughter of the cow, but we did make it back down to see it being prepared. The blowtorch and scraper are used to remove all hair from the cow hide. It may look brutal, but it ensures no part of the animal is wasted. The slaughter and preparation of a cow is a special event here, so most of the family stand around to watch. Hello. I think everyone wants to see me ride, so I'm gonna give a little demonstration.
Oh, good.
Go again.
Okay.
It was lovely to be able to provide entertainment to Fam and his family after they had generously invited me in and given me a small glimpse into their lives. Later, I was recruited to help cut herbs for tonight's meal. So it was more, and then modo.
Happy wedding.
Happy wedding, yeah. I wish you the best, yeah. After eating, I brought out some family photos to show everyone.
Friend, father, and mother.
Grandfather, grandmother, yeah.
No.
All in all, it was a wonderful evening. And Fam, I hope you and your wife enjoy married life.
You to me.
Okay, yeah. Oh, God. Okay, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye. Just left the wedding. Wow, I'm lost for words, that was amazing. Unfortunately, I can't stay for the actual wedding today because tomorrow is literally my last day in Vietnam. I didn't go for the visa, I just went for the 15 days free entry at the border. And I can't believe I've already been here for, this is my 14th day. 2 weeks. Hello! So yeah, it's a little bit too far to have pushed in one day to get to the border. It's nice to split it over two. Wish I could have stayed, but if I was to stay, I would have stayed all day and then I'd have stayed the night and then tomorrow morning I'd get off and more drinking and nah, it's better to get off now. But that was fun and really kind people. Hello! So that's it. Got about 50, no, it's about 60 miles, I think. I didn't really do that much yesterday. I turned up at the party and that was it. So yeah, it's about 60 miles to the border. And with these hills, 30 miles a day is enough. Thank you very much. Oh, hi. Choco pie, that's right. Yes, I am. So that's what I'm staying tonight, which is great because I've got Wi-Fi. I've got a restaurant right there, so I'm gonna have another meal. It's ideal. So, easy part of the day is done. I've done about 10 miles of flat riding. Now, we've got a mountain to climb. And up there somewhere is where the border is, which is quite exciting. Right on the top of a 1,000 meter climb. So that's it for Vietnam, and the completion of the first country in my Southeast Asian adventure. It reaffirmed to me that unicycle touring, as unusual and physically grueling as it can be, is certainly one of the most rewarding ways to see the world. I'm honoured to have shared time with fam, Hal, gang, and everyone I met in this country, and I'm extremely excited to share my experiences in the next one, Laos. But to see this, you'll have to wait till next time. I'm not quite sure if I get a visa at the border or if I get a stamp like Vietnam. I think it might be a visa, which does concern me a bit because it makes me think that maybe I should have brought some money. Alright, so development in the no money, how to get into Laos problem. I can't get in. Merci beaucoup! It's not English, man. That's French. My name's Ed Pratt. Over the last 2 years, I've been on a mission to ride a unicycle around the world. This video series documents my experiences cycling from the top of Vietnam down to Singapore. This is Ed Unicycles Southeast Asia. Thank you. Terima kasih. Episode 2 starts in northern Vietnam, 10 miles away from the Laos border. I spent the previous 2 weeks unicycling towards Laos, so excitement was building with the prospect of experiencing a new country. Not in Vietnam anymore. Laos is that direction, about 3 miles, so we need to ride. This excitement was dampened, however, when I realised that I had literally no cash on me with which to pay for my Laos visa. I'm not quite sure if I get a visa at the border or if I get a stamp like Vietnam. I think it might be a visa, which does concern me a bit because it makes me think that maybe I should have brought some money. When I did finally arrive at the border building, I was, as expected, refused entry by the guards as I had no way of paying. They told me that there was nothing they could do for me today, but that I could camp out and try to sort the issue tomorrow. I am literally right by the border building, look at that. Food cooked, just some noodles. Anyway, I'm gonna get to bed, I'm gonna eat some food and, well, other order. I'm gonna eat some food, then get to bed, and we'll work out what to do tomorrow. Good morning, I'm still at the Laos border, I'm not allowed to leave. Got a plan, I'm gonna ask one of the bus drivers to give me money. This bus driver, he's got my passport, he's just paid, I think 300,000 kip. I'm then gonna get my visa. I think it's like $35, something like this. I'm gonna get on this bus, go to the city, and then I'm gonna come back and get my bike and then ride. Hopefully I'll find an ATM. Hi, you alright? Hopefully I'll find an ATM that lets me take out money. Merci beaucoup! That's not English, man. That's French. I'll then go with that bus driver to an ATM in the next town in Lao. Okay, nice. Get some money out the ATM. Thank you. Take the bus back to here. Got my passport back, paid the man. Now I need to make my way back up the mountain. So I'm hitchhiking back to the border. These two kind guys are in the truck here, so I could join them back to Pang Hock, which is the border. Which is great! Anyway, got a plan. Hopefully it'll work. At this point, I was 15 days and 230 seriously hilly miles into my Southeast Asian leg. After leaving Vietnam through the border on top of a mountain, I crossed no man's land to reach the Laos border post. From here I took a bus down the mountain to the nearest ATM. After paying the bus driver back for my visa, I jumped in the back of a flatbed truck to take me back up the mountain to my unicycle. I think it's going to be quite a fun road to cycle. I'm looking forward to riding down this.
If there's a will, there's always a way. If there's a will, there's always a way. If there's a will, there's always
You stop here?
Yes, we will.
Okay. I can walk the last bit, no problem. Okay, cheers, bye-bye. About a mile to go. It's not that far. It's just a bit irritating because I'm going to be going back down this road. The whole visa thing was a bit irritating. So, note to self, Ed, carry some dollars in the future. I did when I started, but I've used them since. So I just didn't have any cash on me. It hasn't been a problem for a long while. It's not a problem until it is. Words of wisdom there. Not a problem until it is.
I know it seems impossible.
I can easily see that with the wrong attitude, this could have been a very frustrating situation. But choosing to turn this into an opportunity to experience Southeast Asian hitchhiking and bus travel meant that, in the end, I actually really enjoyed the morning's little visa adventure.
Let's run, run, run.
I look a bit messy, don't I? So I'm in the same town that the bus took me to, but then I went back hitchhiking and then cycled back here on my unicycle. I'm back in this town. I'm going to stay here for a couple of nights. Get my bags. I've got a few things I need to fix with my bags, just stitch some stuff. My shorts, don't know if you can see that, starting to fall apart. Need to stitch those up. Basically it's just stitching, and there's a few other bits and bobs I need to fix. But yeah, it shouldn't be big jobs. But basically I just want to rest. I'm going to take 1 second here to briefly talk about what I carry with me on my unicycle. We'll start with the large orange bag that I strap onto the back. This one carries my coat and winter gloves, 2 items I really haven't needed since China. I also stuff my one-person MSR tent fabric in here. Back to the unicycle, we have 2 750ml water bottles. There's another 2-litre bottle sandwiched in between the black front bag and the blue pannier. I use the black front bag to carry my toothbrush and all my food. I guess I didn't really have much food that day. The blue front pannier contains 2 pieces of plywood to keep the contents from bulging and rubbing into my legs. Inside is a bike pump, duct tape, a first aid kit and Santa hat, don't ask me why, and an inflatable globe that I use to communicate with people where I've been and where I'm going. I also carry a Tupperware container full of washing powder, porridge oats, and my Primus stove and pans that I use to cook my meals. Oh, and a little spoon I whittled out of bamboo. Back to the bike. On the back is the poles to the tent. There we are. And the last one is a rear pannier that has the largest capacity of all my bags. Inside is my toolkit, a high-vis vest, charging cables for all my electronics, a smaller bag full of cash, batteries and my passport, my single set of off-the-unicycle clothes, my very well protected MacBook, and 4 1TB hard drives for storing all this footage. And finally, my climate sleeping mat and down sleeping bag. So if you're ever curious as to what I carry and where I carry it, there you are. And all of that goes back on the unicycle. Look at my face, it's grubby. Hasn't been that long since I washed. So I washed last time at that wedding, which is a weird thing to say. Had a shower at a wedding. That's the last time I washed, so I'm a bit stinky. Wash my clothes, because I haven't washed those for a long time. That'd be a good job to do. I was given some washing powder. I just want to show you the creepy guy on this packet. Let me smell your hair. I think the most important ones that I find is these cycling shorts, because this is what I'm sitting on all day, and if they're not clean, then I get quite a painful backside. You can see the colour of that water, that's pretty rank. With my clothes clean and thankfully no guys trying to sniff my hair, 2 days later I got back on the uni and pedalled onwards into the centre of Laos. I bought it because it looked like a small pumpkin. I've got no idea what it is. I'm hoping it tastes alright. Alright, it's about 10:30 now, and I'm coming into a city called Luang Prabang. So I don't know, but I guess this is what you can call the centre. Holy crap, look at this. So I don't know if this one looks a bit green. What do you look for? What? Gold. Apologies for this. Not exactly Bond, is it? The name's Pratt. Ed Pratt, and I'm naked. My name's Ed Pratt. Alright, it's about 10:30 now, and I'm coming into a city called Luang Prabang. So I don't know, but I guess this is what you can call the centre. Holy crap, look at this. Looks like an old railway bridge. Oh god, this is gonna suck. Oh dear. Holy crap, this was a bad idea. This is woo! Alright, so I'm a little bit cleaner than I was. I found a guest house for 60,000 kip, which I think is okay for Luang Prabang because it's quite an expensive area. That's about £6. Right, I'm now going to head out and see what there is to see. Might climb a hill. Alright, so on these videos, and sometimes on my Facebook page, I read these comments and people are saying, "Hey Ed, you seem so mature for just being 21 and leaving to cycle around the world when you were 19. Today, that's not the case. The only reason I'm climbing this hill is for its name. What's the name of this mountain? Hugh. Hugh, yep. And that's mountain. Yep. Halfway up Pussy Mountain, I came across a lady selling sparrows in little wicker cages. How much do you sell for? 20,000. Yeah. £2 for 2 birds. Ah, and then you let go. Fly. Apparently, when set free at the top, the birds provide you good luck and happiness for the future. There is some interesting things up here, I think. I think there's a big Buddha's foot somewhere. You sit in the Buddha's foot. Not sure if sitting in the Buddha's foot's a ritual or if that's just what that kid wanted to do. I'd climbed to the top with the idea of watching the sunset over Luang Prabang. Only problem was, half of Laos seemed to have the same idea. Hundreds of people just waiting for the sun to set, so I'm going to shoot the opposite direction because there's much less people. The other side of this is just hundreds of people just waiting for the sunset. Because my camera doesn't have an intervalometer, I use a little DIY trick and pull a little rubber band over the shutter, put the camera in continuous shooting mode, and this way I get a shot every half second. I then string all those photos together in the computer afterwards. Buddhas behind me. Right, so that's pretty much how I do those time lapses. That's the best way to do time lapses. Sometimes I just use video, which isn't so good. Not quite sure where I'm going, to be quite honest.
Yeah. So, one live?
Yeah, this one. Yeah. How much is this one? 10. Cool. That's alright. I spent a little while checking out the night market, but I was knackered from the week's riding, so headed back to my guest house to rest. I'm gonna go to bed, because I'm pretty shattered, and then we'll get on tomorrow, and keep making our way towards Vientiane, and towards Thailand, because excitingly, my sister and her boyfriend, who I've never met before, Nick, are coming out. They're coming out to Thailand, we're gonna meet in Bangkok, and then we're gonna do some stuff for a couple of weeks, I think. So I'm gonna have a bit of time off the bike, so I need to push it to get to Bangkok, and then I can have kind of a bit of a rest. So that's the plan. Right, gonna go to sleep now. Good night. The next morning I wiggled my way through the bustling Luang Prabang traffic, heading south towards the mountains and ultimately Vientiane. On the outskirts of the city I met Peter and Hilda, who were travelling through Laos on a tandem.
Yeah, it's a hot day today.
Yeah?
Yeah, we come from
Kiukacham.
It's hot there, yeah?
No, it's very high in the mountain.
Okay.
Up, down,
Got it. Yes.
up,
Yeah,
down. Long up.
Yeah. So it's much colder up there.
Yeah, it's really cold. The night I sleep with a jacket and the long trousers.
You're camping?
No. We have a small guest house.
The kids must be crazy if you see this, yeah?
They like it, yeah.
Yeah, this is a special thing. But this,
Sure. I think someday I'd like to do a tour with a bike, I think, like this.
for a couple, it's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I say I did.
To look to each other, you can talk, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's a better way than two single bikes for me.
You think? Yeah, I think so as well. Okay.
Okay.
See you.
Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye bye. See you. Good luck. Oh, what a nice couple. I think someday a really long tandem tour is something that I want to do. Not quite sure when and who with, but yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. Okay, let's keep moving. Dog, do you mind shutting up? You're ruining me audio, dude. Alright, it's nearing the end of the day. I'm gonna leave my unicycle there and try and find somewhere to camp down by the river. There's some guys. They're panning for gold. What do you look for?
Oh, gold.
Gold?
Yeah.
I thought, yeah.
From river.
You find much? Yeah. Oh, that's... Wow, it's...
Little.
Just this one? That one there? Wow, it's tiny. And then what do you do with this?
Oh.
Where do you take this?
Just one step. 2 step, I think.
2-step. I don't know what that means. wow, that was Pratt, and he said, "This is my garden," and his house is up there. He just invited me to stay the night at his house. But to be honest, I kind of want to be just alone out in this tonight. It's a really nice spot. I've got a nice place to put the tent. I've got right by the water's edge, right by the river. Look at that reflection. So I'm gonna camp here tonight. Oh dear. Alright, so before it gets too dark, I'm gonna go for a little dip. And if you're wondering, yeah, this has turned into a strip show, but I'm gonna blur out anything that's important. No tickle tackle in these videos. These boots are covered. Apologies for this. For a swim, eh? Exactly Bond, is it? The name's Pratt. Ed Pratt, and I'm naked. Woo. There's a lot of bugs around. You can hear them. I don't know what they are. Anyway, got my food. It's looking gorgeous. Yeah, I think I may have had my tent open for too long. There's a few bugs all around there. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, good night, I'm gonna go to bed. It's been a long day. And just like that, it's morning. Got some water doing. I'm gonna do some porridge and some banana, because I've got porridge and banana on me. I'll just show you the view. Yeah. I'd say this is probably the best campsite I've had in Laos so far. It's gorgeous. I was so close to coming off there. I don't know how I held that. Woo! Buddy! Over the next few days, I settled into my routine of riding, camping. I got a real kick out of how the kids reacted to my unicycle, and I was starting to really enjoy being in Laos. That was, however, until I reached the base of a pretty daunting mountain. I've been using my super unicycling man cape to de-sweat my face, because the sweat is just collecting on my forehead and just dripping into my eyes, which isn't pleasant. There've been no kind of houses on this road, and the houses I've come to, I've been trying to see if there's anyone in, but there doesn't seem to be anyone in. So I haven't been able to fill up my water with water. So I don't know if this one looks a bit green, but that's because I filled it up from a stream by the side of the road. I put chlorine tablets in it, so it's okay. But if it wasn't for that stream, I'd be pretty dehydrated right now. Oh, this is tough. This is really tough. I just want to get to the top of this mountain. I can't think straight. I just need to walk. That's all I need to do. I didn't know this at the time, but this mountain pass happened to be the last major climb I'd experience until reaching New Zealand, and it was a killer. 4,000 feet of altitude gain in just 15 miles. This is where I'm leaving you for this instalment. Come back next week to continue watching me walk over a mountain. Exciting stuff, eh? Why I chose to do it on the unicycle, I'm questioning that. Alright, there's a problem with the brake. I just came off. there's a problem with the brake. I just came off. Before this episode starts, I just want to briefly advertise that I'm now selling merch. Specifically, t-shirts, hoodies and mugs, illustrated with an image of my world touring unicycle. I also figured that instead of just using myself to promote the clothing, I'd recruit the help of Scholar, who looks a hell of a lot better in the stuff than I do. So if you'd like to pick something up and support me at the same time, please follow the top link in the description. Cheers. Now on with the episode. The brake just stopped working. My name's Ed Pratt. Oh, this is tough. This is really tough. I just want to get to the top of this mountain. I can't think straight. I just need to walk. That's all I need to do. Unicycling in mountainous landscapes isn't easy. Because the wheel is fixed to the pedals, you can't just shift down a gear to make pedaling easier. Add 20 kilos of touring equipment to the top of the bike, and unless your legs are as thick as tree trunks, once the gradient becomes too steep, you're pretty much forced to step off and walk. I remember that walking with my unicycle used to frustrate me in the early stages of my world tour. I'd get annoyed that I couldn't ride up any hill that I came across. But by now, however, after being on the road for almost 2 years, I'd learned to accept my limits and embrace this even slower way of travelling. Look at that! It's getting there, isn't it? It's beautiful. Oh, the road is going down for a bit. But I'm not getting too excited because there's like a smaller peak, then it goes down a little bit, and then it goes up again, and then that's the real peak. So I've still got another 6 miles until it gets to the real peak. But at least we can ride for a little bit. Fun's over. Time to keep walking again. Oh, these roads are just too steep, man. Alright, light has properly faded now. I'm gonna camp here. I'm kind of in view of the road, but you know what? The people in Laos are very friendly. I can't see anything happening tonight. I generally try and avoid camping where people can see me and where I can be seen by the road. But tonight, I've kind of run out of options. We've got the road there. And there's a pile of rocks which I'm just gonna plant the tent just behind it so it gives me some cover. Kind of days merge into weeks and weeks merge into years, you know? Skip the months out, just go straight to years. I've almost been away for 2 years. That's crazy. Yeah. I find it amazing. When I was planning this trip, I thought maybe I'll be away for 1.5 years. Nope. Gonna be away for a bit longer than that. I think in total I'm probably gonna be away for about 3 years. If I complete this, which I hope I do. I really hope I do complete this because I've put a lot of sweat and a lot of effort into cycling around the world on this ridiculous bike. Why I chose to do it on the unicycle, I'm questioning that. I think I'm questioning it more these days that I'm just in the mountains and in the hills, because it's just not designed to do this, or at least I'm not fit enough to climb these hills, so I'm having to walk. But I think this will be, yeah, these thoughts will subside once I get onto the kind of flatter landscape. Yeah, I'm looking forward to just flat and being able to just ride. It would just be nice to be able to get up in the morning and just go, yeah, I can do 50 miles, rather than today. I mean, I thought I might be able to kind of get over the top of this mountain, but I've pushed and I've only made, what, 13 miles? It's not enough. Ugh. And it's fine, you know, I'm always saying, oh, it's not about the distance, and I'm happy just to do what I do in the day and speak with bad grammar. No, I'm always saying that it's not about the distance, and I'm happy just to do whatever in the day. But recently, it's just like I'm not doing the distance that I want to do, and it's demoralising. It really is. It's like when you push all day and only make 13 miles. But hey, gotta keep going. Need to not be discouraged. You know, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it around the world, even if it takes me another year. I think it will, at least. But that's okay. That's all right. People can see me. I was given this as well. Look at this. Dinky bottle. What is it? It's like, yeah, 250 ml. But it's good. A little bit more water. Always appreciated. Okay. Just rambling now. Go tonight. Go to sleep. Good night. Yeah. Just to recap, I'd so far ridden just over 500 miles through Vietnam and Laos. I was currently camped halfway up a 6,000 foot mountain pass that happened to be my last major ascent until New Zealand. Good morning. Do your teeth, kids. Right, so we've got about 3 miles to the top of this hill, to the top of this mountain today. And then that's it, we're at the top.
Ignore the obvious signs, you head on into the wind. It's calm, it's warm, so pleasing to the whiskers on your chin. Set sail to the horizon, you're so full of surprises. And whoever said you'd never make it on your own?
We're at the top! There's a kind of cafe place at the top here, and there's a bunch of people from Korea, all very excited about my unicycle. Yeah.
You will see it spreads like wildfire. Shout them that you fear nothing.
Danger, danger! High voltage! Yeah, okay, enough of that. I wonder what's so dangerous about it. I've got no idea. Let's find out.
It spreads like wildfire. Wildfire, wildfire. Wildfire, wildfire.
I'm having problems, man. My hand just isn't holding up to this. I've got to pull the brake with one finger. And I think the brake isn't working as well as it should be. And I'm having to really kind of strain my hand to keep this thing, keep the brake kind of at a point where I can kind of manage the speed of the unicycle. I think, I don't know, maybe the brake pads are wearing out. Okay, number 2 screw, there we are. The brake pads were the issue, or rather the lack thereof. The rubber pads have been worn down to almost nothing. I've got no spares. I've got no brake pads and I've got no spares, and I'm halfway up a bloody big mountain. I wasn't hopeful, but thought pulling on the brake lever without the disc might force the pads closer together to create more friction on the disc after I reinstalled it. I mean, yeah, it's not a big deal. I mean, I could walk if I needed to, but I walked up this mountain. I'd rather ride down, you know? Okay, let's see if that works. It didn't. Half a mile later, the brake decided to disengage, and I was thrown to the ground. Alright, there's a problem with the brake. I just came off. The brake just stopped working. I don't know what happened. Yeah, okay. Note to self, don't ride a unicycle down a big mountain when the brake pads aren't there. 2 minutes later, I continued riding down the big mountain without brake pads. Not wanting to risk falling off for a second time, this time I gave up on my brake and just used my legs to control my speed. Because the pedals are fixed, this is possible, but very hard work on steep hills. I eventually made it down the other side of the mountain in one piece. and stopped at a cafe to rest.
The owner of this place said that I could stay the night here. It's only like 2 o'clock, but I think I'm going to take the day off. I'm going to get some stuff washed. I'm going to wash myself. I asked if he had a shower here and he said he didn't, but there is a river just down the hill.
The river wasn't exactly what you'd call picturesque, but for my purposes, it was perfect. While I was washing, some local kids showed up.
I am naked, but they're not leaving me alone and I need to wash my shorts, so whatever. Spuddy! Yep. Can you imagine the uproar if you did this in like the UK or somewhere like that? Like, naked man washing his clothes in a river with kids watching. It'd be like national news.
With my clothes back on, I joined the kids in a simple game, which seemed to just consist of throwing rocks into the river.
I think it's rock throwing time. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, go on. Whoa, throw him in, throw him in. Oh, he's got it.
When I got back to the cafe, the owner ended up saying that actually now he didn't want me to camp there. So, freshly washed, I jumped back on the unicycle to find somewhere else to spend the night.
I think there's some motorcycle guys behind me. Buddy! Alright.
I did eventually find somewhere to throw my tent, but woke up early the next morning because I'd made a bit of a miscalculation.
Good morning. I've got a big day ahead of me today.
I've got a long day ahead of me because I've ballsed up. So today is Thursday the 9th of March. My visa for Laos runs out on the 14th of March. Now I'm currently 81 miles from VIENTIANE and the border to Thailand. You may be thinking, Ed, plenty of time, you've got 5 days to get there, no problem. Well, no. And that's because before entering Thailand, I need to apply and receive a 2-month visa in VIENTIANE. And the only time I can apply for the visa is in the mornings on weekdays. So there's no chance for me applying today, which is Thursday. So that leaves me Friday morning, which is tomorrow morning, to apply. Which means that I need to ride 81 miles to VIENTIANE today. Wow.
Actually, what are you doing here?
Well, who are you?
Masseuse?
What are you doing here? I go Bangkok. Bangkok.
Bag with everything.
Yeah. Anyway, leaving VIENTIANE now. Hopefully they have my visa. And
who is that lady? Is she? What are you doing here?
Well, who are you?
Masseuse?
What are you doing here?
My name's Ed Pratt.
Good morning. I've got a big day ahead of me today.
I've got a long day ahead of me because I've ballsed up. So today is Thursday the 9th of March. My visa for Laos runs out on the 14th of March. Now I'm currently 81 miles from VIENTIANE and the border to Thailand. You may be thinking, Ed, plenty of time, you've got 5 days to get there, no problem. Well, no. And that's because before entering Thailand, I need to apply and receive a 2-month visa in VIENTIANE. And the only time I can apply for the visa is in the mornings on weekdays. So there's no chance for me applying today, which is Thursday. So that leaves me Friday morning, which is tomorrow morning, to apply. Which means that I need to ride 81 miles to VIENTIANE today. VIENTIANE, 128k.
Because overstaying my Laos visa could have been quite problematic, I decided to put the camera down today and just focus on covering the miles to VIENTIANE. Looking back, it's a shame that I don't have more footage from this day, but it definitely was the sensible decision.
Dog's going for it.
I picked the camera back up as the light was starting to fade, 20 miles away from the capital.
Alright, so I'm sitting on about 60 miles and also sitting on quite a sore bum. I'm going to push another maybe 10 miles out today. We'll see. It's going to be dark in probably under an hour. Fontvillei guest house. We're going to check this place out and hopefully it's fine. I'm sure it will be. Oh my lord. We did a grand total of 70 miles, which means that we've got 11 miles tomorrow to the embassy, which is fine. Oh. Do I look dirty? I feel dirty. I feel really quite dusty. Oh, shit. Good morning. Just creeping into VIENTIANE now. I'm about 7 miles from the Thai embassy. Hopefully we'll be able to pick up a 2-month visa today. We will see. I think it's like maybe 200 meters down here.
Tired and relieved, I arrived with just 2 hours to spare.
Alright, so I made it to the embassy in time. Just applied for my visa. This kind chap looked after my unicycle while I went inside. Say hello. Good news, I think I've got 2 months. Bad news, I can't pick it up until Monday, so I'm spending the weekend in VIENTIANE, which is alright. So now I need to try and find somewhere to stay for 3 nights that isn't going to kill my wallet.
I decided on the Funky Monkey Hostel because it was cheap at £5 a night and because it was called the Funky Monkey Hostel.
Alright, so I arrived at the Funky Monkey yesterday. I met Jeremiah.
What's up?
And he wants to ride my unicycle today.
Damn
so
right.
I'm going to film him. Nice, nice. Nice. You got to really try and commit to that left foot though. Just try and get it on that pedal. Yeah.
I'm gonna put it down for now.
Sure.
I usually, if you let me, if you give me like 20 minutes break, I come back for it. Guarantee you I'll ride it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Thanks, brother.
No worries.
I enjoyed my time in Vientiane, but Monday soon arrived, and with it the need to collect my Thai visa and depart Laos.
Alright, so I'm leaving the Funky Monkey now.
You come back.
Are you leaving? I go to Bangkok.
Come back. Give me back here. This is.
She wants you to go home.
Go home. No, I go Bangkok. Bangkok.
Back what everything.
Yeah. Anyway, leaving Vientiane now. Hopefully they have my visa. And
who is that lady? Is she? What are you doing here?
Well, who are you?
Masseuse?
What are you doing here? You haven't been in my videos for a little while.
I've been following you.
If you don't already know, that's Will Hodson, better known as Super Cycling Man. He's also cycling around the world, only if you hadn't noticed already, he's doing the whole thing dressed up as a superhero. Yeah, I know, it's mad. I first met Will 5 months ago in China, where we partnered up and rode 750 miles together from Lanzhou to Leshan. We had an absolute ball of a time exploring the country and pushing ourselves through the Chinese winter. I last saw him 3 months ago in Kunming, where we spent a very memorable Christmas together. Needless to say, it was great to see him again.
What are you doing here? You haven't been in my videos for a little while.
I've been following you. Stalking you.
Yeah, it seems like it.
We're just wiggling, our wiggly roads have met up together again in Vientiane.
Yeah.
We're going to get some food before you head off to Bangkok.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, joining forces again wasn't on the cards this time, as Will was characteristically taking himself on a very wiggly route through Southeast Asia, and I needed to push myself to reach Bangkok in 12 days, just in time for my sister's arrival. Will did, however, join me for a ride to the Thai embassy.
Just down here.
We stopped for a cafe break on the way.
Okay, just picture that was like a big baguette. It was very tasty.
Bread, one of the treats on the road. Bread, cereal, Nutella.
It's alright, I'm a bit of a coughing fit back here. And Will treated me to this big baguette, which is very kind of you. So I'm pretty much out of kip.
We've got £1.60 left for a day. That's not a lot of fun.
Nah.
You can buy me a meal in Bangkok.
Yep. Alright.
Sweaty Eddie.
Sweaty Eddie with his 2-month Thailand visa. Alright. See you, Will.
Enjoy the flat.
Yeah.
Enjoy the flat. Then
No more hills.
But not the heat.
Oh, any last words? Could be your last clip.
It's such a crazy contrast when we met last in China. I was
It
just
is.
thinking we were freezing, wearing multiple layers and balaclavas and thick gloves, and now I'm going to get some after sun to deal with sunburn. It's insane. No wise words apart from I'm melting. I'm melting.
Alright, so leaving VIENTIANE now. Just left Will. It's a shame that you couldn't join me on this bit, but we got our own plans, we got our own missions. We may well meet up again at some point. I don't know. Officially out of Laos now. Going over Friendship Bridge on my way to Thailand. Woo! And fun fact about Thailand, they drive on the left. This is the first country that drives on the left since I left England. Feels like home. Welcome to Thailand. Woo! And just like that, we are in a new country. Country number 19, baby. With the pressure on to reach Bangkok before my sister, I decided to take a pretty direct route towards the capital. Even so, over the next few days, I still managed to find some minor quiet roads on which to unicycle. I discovered that these huts were a great option for camping, because without the need to attach my tent's rainfly, I could keep myself cooler during the humid nights. Oh my god! Woo! That's wow, I'd like to get out of here because I'm breathing in a lot of smoke. Whoa. As much as I loved cycling through the mountains of Vietnam and Laos, it was still a relief to be back on flat terrain. But the issue now was that I was close to sea level, meaning that the temperature had raised considerably, averaging around 30 degrees centigrade and 80% humidity throughout the day. Far too hot to be comfortable while riding. I need to get some water because I thought I'd find some cafe or something and I haven't seen anything today. And I've got no water on me and it's very, very hot out here. It's alright if I keep moving, but as soon as I stop I just get drenched in sweat and the heat really starts to take over. Pretty happy that I've got this this hat thing lashed on. It's starting to come into its own again. Picked it up in China and for a lot of the ride since then hasn't been all that useful, but I just haven't taken it off. But now it's like, yeah, it's offering a little bit of shade. It's something. Dehydrated, I really pushed myself to keep pedalling. By that evening, I'd reached Nong Bua Lampu and luckily stumbled across a bunch of local cyclists out on their weekly club ride. And what was your name again? Your name?
Biget.
Biget.
Yeah.
Biget. So I think Biget has just offered me somewhere to sleep tonight. I think that's where we're heading now. You say like 1 kilometer? 1 kilo?
1 kilo.
1 kilometer later, and we'd arrived at Biget's bike shop, where I'd laid out beer and crisps to start off the evening. Good to meet you. Beer drunk, it was time to get on the back of a moped to find some food. So I think we're going out to get some food now. I've had 2 beers. I'm glad they're not making me ride, because I'm not feeling particularly with it at the moment. Wow, a very short journey. Sick?
Sick.
What does that mean? So anyway, this one's sweet, this one's spicy.
Yes.
Kokum mama. Kokum mama. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. With my stomach full of rice and yet even more beer, we headed on back. Biget had generously laid out a mattress for me on the floor of his bike shop. Having only been in Thailand for a few days at this point, I couldn't have asked for a better first impression of the country.
Do you remember that previously my brake pads were a little worse for wear?
Just came off. The brake just stopped working.
Well, after breakfast, I asked Bigot if he had any replacement pads. Luckily, even though my unicycle does contain many difficult to replace parts, the hydraulic Megara brake isn't one of them. With 2 shiny new brake pads, I jumped back on the uni, this time joined by Bigot, his cycling mates, and a police convoy. Yeah, this day was going to be totally mad.
That sign says Bangkok is 380 kilometers away. I've got to do that in 4 days. My head is just spinning. My body is just cramping up. I don't know what to do. My body's gone and failed on me. You know what? Riding in the heat is so much worse.
My name's Ed Pratt. Right, after 49 days of riding, I feel like it's time for a recap of the series so far. I began the ride on the 1st of February from the very north of Vietnam. Soon after starting my Southeast Asian journey, I found myself part of a Vietnamese wedding celebration, where the relatives slaughtered a cow and wore white face masks. I was refused entry into Laos for stupidly not having any cash on me. I then met some guys panning for gold in a river, and proceeded to strip bare, pretending to be Daniel Craig. I pushed myself hard to walk over a bloody steep mountain, where on the descent my brake failed, throwing me to the ground. But I dusted myself off, and met Super Cycling Man again, while waiting for my Thai visa. Leaving the mountains behind me, I entered Thailand, where I discovered the weather was far too hot, but the discomfort I was feeling from the temperature was far outweighed by the hospitality of the people, as I was recently joined by a cycling club, accompanied by the local police. I'm currently on a bit of a mission to reach Bangkok within the week, because my sister is coming out to see me in just 5 days. Alright, I think you're pretty much up to speed. Back to the cycling club and police convoy. After breakfast, I asked Bigot if he had any replacement pads. Luckily, even though my unicycle does contain many difficult to replace parts, the hydraulic Megara brake isn't one of them. With 2 shiny new brake pads, I jumped back on the uni, this time joined by Bigot, his cycling mates, and a police convoy. Yeah, this day was going to be totally mad.
Followed by about, I don't know, 20 cyclists, and the police up ahead with their loudspeaker saying, "Hey, there's a guy on a unicycle." This is weird. Alright.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah. That was mental. I guess I'm alone again then. That was incredible. Police escort and cycling club and woo! It's gonna rain pretty shortly. The wind is really picking up. I think there's some kind of storm brewing.
Thank you.
I stopped at a roadside cafe in an attempt to shelter from the rain.
I was riding along and I was like, oh, it's gonna rain a little bit. That's a bit of a dark cloud. And then suddenly, they've just opened up. Woo. I've got no idea how long this is going to last. I'm not cycling off until. Oh, that's some lightning. Yeah. I'm not leaving here until it starts raining. This is ridiculous.
I soon ditched the cafe because the thatched roof was starting to leak. The ground around my unicycle was also starting to get saturated, so I threw on the rear panniers waterproof cover and ran next door to the relatively dry petrol station. The rain never really did stop, but I got impatient, so carried on anyway. It did die off come evening, but I still opted for another hut camp that night, my thinking being that if it did downpour again, I was at least kind of sheltered. My thinking was correct.
Do I need to say it's raining? snow, right? Tell you what, that's not a bad find for a thunderstorm. If I was just in a tent, it would be miserable. But at least I've got a bit of shelter. And I found a hat. Yeah, it's definitely dying down. That seems to be what happens around here. It's like really hard for like half an hour, and then it sorts itself out. That lens is covered in water.
Thankfully, by lunchtime, the weather had completely blown over, and I could get back on the road towards Bangkok.
That sign says Bangkok is 380 kilometers away. I've got to do that in 4 days.
If I was going to reach the capital in time for my sister, I was seriously going to need to dig deep.
Switch off and bolt the locks. Check for any distractions. Dim the lights and close your eyes. How warming is the silence. It seems that here your dreams appear. Realize life's attractions. Don't let them say it's not the way. Appealed by defiance. So here we go. Taken from your comfort zone. It's time to see the signs. These thoughts you've occupied. United we'll have power. So blossom, blossom like a flower.
Following a dual carriageway to Bangkok reduced the amount of miles I needed to cycle. But the tough physical exertion and constant exposure from the sun soon started to wear on my body.
Don't take my word, I just say you should adapt to your own way of thinking. Deep in the mud, don't lend a hand. You may feel left in or keep.
Bit sweaty then. Bit sweaty.
Mouth being stripped of flesh and bone. These things we hold materials. Sled to work, have you seen the world? The parts of something beautiful.
My dehydration got to a point where it didn't seem to matter how much water I was drinking. I still felt terrible. Even so, I kept pushing myself to keep riding. Far too late, I upped the amount of salt I was consuming in an attempt to make myself feel better.
Alright, so I stocked up on a bit of salty food. I'm going to try and push out another 30 miles in this dark. I think I'm on about 40. I'd love to get to 70 miles today. We will see. I think my body's gone and failed on me. Like, I feel awful. I turned off the main road. I saw a sign that said like 900 meters to a resort. They're charging me 500 baht, which is too much. It's like 12 quid or something, which I don't really want to pay, but I kind of don't have any choice. I'm done. Like, I know I've said I'm done before, but I'm like I can't think. My head is just spinning. My body is just cramping up. I don't know what to do. Well, this is what I've done. I found somewhere to sleep, which is good, because I didn't have the energy to like find somewhere to put the tent, and I didn't have enough water, and I need to find water for the tent, and I honestly don't think it's safe the way that I'm feeling at the moment to sleep in my tent. I don't feel well. I really
I feel pretty awful. I thought riding, when I was in China and when I was in like Kazakhstan and places like that, where it was cold, I thought that was pretty bad. I thought, wow, this riding in the cold is pretty hard going. You know what? Riding in the heat is so much worse. Fuck! So that's how I wound up on the floor of a hotel room with my legs cramping up from dehydration. Reflecting on this later, I definitely feel like I was drinking enough, but the issue was I failed to effectively replace the salts I was losing in my sweat. Even though I was guzzling around 10 litres of water a day, my body was struggling to actually use the fluids I was putting into it. This was certainly a very humbling experience, and the takeaway was clear. Make sure you're putting the correct stuff into your body, really, anytime, but especially if you're going to try and attempt something as stupid as unicycle down a dual carriageway in 90% humidity and 35-degree heat.
Good morning. Still at the resort, just waiting for some food. Got some coffee, which is good. Head is feeling much better. I'm feeling a lot more with it. Yesterday was just awful. I'm hoping that I feel alright. I've got some food coming. Welcome, Cap. Thank you. That's great. Some food. Chicken fried rice.
Not wanting a repeat of the day before, and because my sister was literally flying out the next day, I made the decision to pause the ride there and stay put at the resort. Staying in air conditioning and resting for the day felt amazing, especially as the way I was planning to reach Bangkok the next day was a little unconventional.
Alright, so good morning. Today is an exciting day because I'm going to Bangkok. Not going to be cycling, I'm going to be trying to hitchhike. I've got about 100 miles to cover. This is a shot for when I return in about 2 weeks' time. There's a bridge. This is where I cycled to, pretty much. I just need to walk to the bottom of those steps. And then we'll set off from here.
So this was my new challenge. Hitchhike 110 miles to Bangkok. Should be simple enough, right?
I want to find a car to take me on this road. And you go to this road, yeah?
By broken.
Broken, yeah. Well, no, I am broken. I see, big try.
Grader.
Okay. Go, Cap, right, thank you.
Rai kindly took me the 5 miles to the main road. Now I just had to find someone willing to take me the remaining distance to the capital.
Spari, you go Bangkok. Concho Array Camp. Ed. Edward. What is your name?
My name is Vilapong. Num. Jen. Mr. Jen.
Mr. Jen. Mr. Jen, Mr. Num. Cool.
Mr. Nom said he was very happy to drive me to the outskirts of the city, but from there I'd need to catch a taxi to my sister's hotel. During the 2-hour journey, I asked him to try and teach me Thai numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And of course I'm a little bit disappointed about having to kind of hitchhike out. I'd have loved to have kind of rode in and kind of rode my bike to the hotel and kind of done the whole heroic, I made it to Bangkok kind of thing. But this way is fine, and my body just wasn't holding up. I've just been feeling properly faint for the last 4 days. And yeah, this 2 weeks, it's going to be a good time, just have a bit of a rest, just sort out some levels of my body, and of course seeing my sister for the first time in 1.5 years also is pretty cool. Last time I saw her we were in Georgia. It was when my parents and my sister came out to Georgia and we spent a couple of weeks there. That's the last time I saw her, and I've never met her boyfriend Nick, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be a really good 2 weeks, just doing something a bit different, just yeah. few Brits just hanging out in Thailand.
I thanked Mr. Jen and Mr. Nom for driving me, then flagged down a taxi prepared to take me and my unicycle the remaining 10 miles to the hotel.
So this is Mr. Withaya?
Yeah.
Withaya?
Yeah.
And he's taking me to Bangkok. I think we've worked out where we're going. And there's the unicycle a bit taken apart at the back there. Dismantled unicycle.
I was getting close and very excited.
Okay. Mr. Withaya, welcome cab.
Yeah.
Thank you. What time do you call this? How's it going? Oh, hi Nick.
Hi,
how you doing? Sam and I have just done a stupid thing. We've dared each other to eat one of these chilies that they have. 3, 2, 1.
My name's Ed Pratt. Last episode, I failed. My sister was flying out with her boyfriend Nick to spend 2 weeks travelling with me here in Thailand. I was on a mission to reach Bangkok in time for their arrival. I pushed myself far too hard and ended up collapsing from dehydration by the side of the road. Cutting my losses, I paused my Southeast Asian ride and hitchhiked the remaining 100 miles to Bangkok, with of course the plan of returning to the same spot on the road in 2 weeks' time. Pausing the ride really was the sensible decision, and after the tiring journey to reach the capital, I was very much looking forward to taking a break from unicycling and spending time with my sister. So no unicycling in this episode, just 3 Brits backpacking around Thailand. It'll be nice to blend in for once. We begin this instalment in a taxi en route to the airport.
I'm in Bangkok. This is my lovely sister. This is our lovely boyfriend Nick. And we've been here for a couple of days. I guess quick montage.
We'll take one each.
Yeah, all of it.
It tastes like a prawn cracker.
We're now off to Phuket. Gonna get on the plane for an hour and a half, and then we're gonna be at the beaches.
Go Phuket.
In Thai.
In Thai. ฉันจะไปภูเก็ต ฉันจะไปภูเก็ต
ฉันจะไปภูเก็ต You got a lizard on you?
Tiny little gecko, don't we?
No one's gonna help me.
Alright, dude. You coming?
Oh no.
Oh, he's coming around the back of you. Yeah, he's coming. He's gone. Thank you. We're in Patong and we're going to serve some food. I saw a meat lady, I want to find some meat.
Rather than a vegetable lady.
It has actual sausages and legs. Okay.
In Patong, we stayed at the Ban Yin D Hotel. Used to wild camping in roadside huts, the grandeur of this place made me feel a little uncomfortable, as the cost of my room alone was more than I'd spent in the last 2 months. Having said that, I soon got used to it. This is by far the nicest hotel room I've stayed in ever. I was going to say this tour, but no, ever. I didn't pick it, I didn't pay for it. I'm a very lucky boy. I'm going to give you a tour. We've got a seat, a cupboard full of a fridge and minibar stuff I'm not going to touch. Massive bed. 1, 2 lamps. Ablutions, 1 shower. 2 basins. And a toilet, complete with funky curtain. But that's not all. We have a balcony, complete with 2 chairs and a table. And 1 gorgeous view of the beach. That's it, tour over. This place is far too nice for me. I'm happy with a shack and a tent, but
for 3 nights. Make it work.
That evening, we headed out to see what Patong's nightlife had to offer.
7-Eleven booze stop.
Tell them what you've got.
Siam Center.
I think it's rice, wine, beer. It's 8%. And it tastes like...
You sure?
Shit.
Ooh.
Well, you held back then.
Nicely done.
There's no such thing as a sensible unicyclist.
There's a post.
No one is sensible that wants to travel. Right, so what's the circumference of the Earth?
24 miles.
So if you want to unicycle that,
24,000 miles.
you just want to sleep.
I am drunk. I'm a bit stuck in the toilet. I'm stuck. Oh.
According to Ed, he just mentioned me as some guy my sister is dating.
You are. I really doubt that I'll use any of this footage, but I might do.
Oh, it could be family footage, maybe. I don't know.
Family footage.
It'll be okay.
I'm usually a sensible unicyclist, but now I'm a drunkard.
Hey, I'll show them my feet.
Good morning.
Morning. It's the afternoon.
Not quite sure how much of, oh yeah, it's 3 o'clock. Not quite sure how much of the footage I'm going to put in from last night, because, yeah, apparently I've forgotten some stuff, and there's probably a lot of it on here. But we'll put some stuff, probably with a lot of bleeping and censorship, but we'll put some stuff. Today we're going to find a beach.
A few days off the unicycle had done a lot to heal the dehydration I'd battled on the road. Obviously, drinking the night before probably didn't help speed up this process, but my body was no longer cramping up and I was feeling fitter than ever. A good thing too, because the next day we jumped in the back of a tuk-tuk heading towards Phuket town. But this was no ordinary tuk-tuk.
Oh, you can type stuff in.
Oh, me? Okay. Oh, the pressure's on.
Yeah.
I got a brand new combine harvester and I'll give you the key. Come on now, let's get together in perfect harmony.
Alright, that's quite enough of that. With the songs of the Wurzels still ringing in our ears, we arrived, found a cheap hostel, and headed out to eat. Spotting some chilies on the table, Sam and I stupidly dared each other to eat one.
3, 2, 1.
Swallow quickly.
It's gone.
Swallow quickly.
That was fine. That was such a stupid idea. Just because something's not red doesn't mean you shouldn't eat it.
Oh yeah, that was Sam's theory. It's not red, so it's not going to be spicy.
So, that was a mistake. The next day we jumped into yet another tuk-tuk. And again, that's quite enough of that.
Alright, we're at the pier. Going to try and find a boat.
The boat was to take us from Phuket to Koh Lanta, and it seemed we weren't the only ones with this idea. Ordinarily, I actively avoid following the crowd, and try and go about things in a more unique way. However, for the 2 weeks I was with my sister, I embraced being a more conventional tourist, and it was amazing just to mess around with Sam and Nick, and not have the pressure of feeling like I needed to cycle every day. And trying not to sound too pretentious, it also helped me appreciate the opportunities that travelling on a unicycle gives me, because unlike backpacking around, staying in hotels and getting drunk, cycle touring, I feel, gives a more genuine glimpse into a country, rather than just what the travel companies want you to see. Anywho, this 2 weeks really wasn't about any of that, rather about making the most of the short time I had with Sam and Nick.
You're asleep?
Yeah.
We don't need.
Maybe later.
Maybe later.
We arrived on the island just in time for a downpour, so we jumped in yet another tuk-tuk, no Wurzels this time, which drove us through the rain to our hotel.
It's alright, isn't it? It's still raining. I think we're going out for a swim now. I'm going to take this camera, not this one, because it's still raining and I don't want it to get wet.
понятно. Русский. Тоже English.
Здравствуйте. Как дела?
Как дела?
Because my sister works as an animal care assistant back in the UK, while we were on Koh Lanta, she was very keen to visit Lanta Animal Welfare, a rescue centre for cats and dogs. According to their website, since 2005 they have sterilised and treated over 15,000 animals.
But if you can see Oslo, can you see Oslo's tail? It's got a bit of a funny tail, but you might have come across cats that have got funny tails, short tails, twisty tails. It's all a sign of incest and breeding. And the first thing to be affected on a cat is their tail.
We also learnt that once sterilised, the cats are marked with a little tattoo on the inside of their ear. This way, they don't get sterilised for a second time.
Very nice. Buddy has to wear a mask as well when we take him out for a walk because he doesn't really like cats. I mean, he got adopted, so now I can say it. He already killed 2 cats. But he's so cute though. He just doesn't like them. It's not that he's starving or anything like this. He just doesn't get along with cats.
Oh no, don't let him go in there. No. Out of the dogs.
I know. If you go over there, you'll get yourself eaten by a dog.
Yeah, I know. I'm a hero. After checking out the centre, Sam also managed to kidnap a couple of dogs for an hour for a walk to the beach.
Which one are you going to adopt?
Oh, you wouldn't just be able to have one, would you, Wally? You'd have both of them.
You got a leaf, it's alright. I'm going to take it off you. No, they seem very happy, don't they?
They seem to be doing a good job. They don't do as much training, but I don't think it's more about sterilisation and sort of getting them a new home and getting them out of danger. And they all come in fairly well socialised with other dogs at least, which is interesting.
Yeah. There we are.
This cat has been sterilised by the Lanka Animal Welfare place.
You can't produce more cats.
You can't have any babies.
How does that make you feel, dude?
I don't care, I just want some ham.
You know, I don't care, give me some food.
Can you send me a pizza?
My time with Sam and Nick was coming to a close, and what felt like far too soon, we eventually had to jump back on a ferry and return to Phuket. We'd shared an amazing fortnight together, but shortly Sam and Nick were flying out to Hong Kong to continue their holiday, and I of course needed to return to my mission cycling down to Singapore. Both Sam and Nick get pretty limited holiday days each year, so I really appreciated them deciding to come out to Thailand and spend some of them with me. It was lovely to meet and get to know Nick, and to see Sam again for the first time in 1.5 years. It was immensely fun looking back through all this footage, and Sam and Nick, I hope this little video cancels out the annoyance of me sticking a camera in your faces every minute.
Alright. Yeah. See you, we'll Skype at some point. Yeah. When you're in Hong Kong, it'd be nice to hear that you get there. Bye bye. See you.
My name's Ed Pratt. Last time in this series, my sister and her boyfriend came out to find me in Thailand. We spent a fortnight travelling around, staying in fancy hotels, chilling out on beaches, playing with cute rescue dogs, and getting hammered. It was great to see both of them, and certainly was an amusing time. But after 2 weeks, I was very keen to travel a little more inexpensively and hit the road once more on my unicycle. After leaving Sam and Nick in Phuket, I caught a plane back to Bangkok to reunite with my one-wheeled travel companion. I'd stashed it in a hotel room 2 weeks ago, and being such an integral part of my mission to unicycle around the world, I was relieved to find it was still there.
Bike's just there. There's the unicycle, there's the wheel. Let's try and get it out.
I'd heard that Songkran, Thai New Year, was kicking off in the next few days, so I decided to stick around to experience the celebrations in the capital. I checked into Hostel 16, run by a lovely lady called Pond, and spent the next few days just unicycling around Bangkok, replacing bits of my equipment that needed replacing to prepare me for the ride down to Singapore. Most notably, these bits were a new helmet.
That's a new one. That's the old one. It's kind of falling apart.
Thank you, Rockham Road. A new water bottle.
The bottles here, yeah, from X-Lab there.
Yeah, from X-Lab. Just a bottle so I can drink while I'm riding.
And a new front bag, or rather a repurposed laptop bag because the zips of my previous black front bag had broken. On the morning of Songkran, the 13th of April, Thai New Year's Day, in the hostel we celebrated Rot Nam Dum Hua, a ritual which involves young people pouring little vessels full of water and flowers onto the hands of the wise elderly.
How do you say? Sweaty Pi Mai Cap. Sweaty Pi Mai Cap.
It's believed that this ritual washes away bad luck and welcomes good fortune for the future. After this very civilised affair, we set about celebrating Songkran in the way it's famous for, excessive water throwing. After getting thoroughly drenched, we all tuk-tuked it down to Koh San Road. I brought the unicycle thinking that I'll be able to ride up and down the strip, baiting people to splash me. But I quickly realised this wasn't ever going to work, as there was barely enough space to walk, let alone ride. So I stashed the uni at Pond's Friends Cafe and headed out unicycleless into the crowds of Koh San Road to celebrate this very bizarre holiday.
You don't see it in the camera, but it's fucking cold water!
The next day was my last in Bangkok. I wanted to thank Pond and all the guys at the hostel for the fun few days, so I made a meal for everyone. Cottage pie is my go-to British meal because you can always find potatoes and beef anywhere in the world.
Ed, I am so glad that you found us here, even by accidentally. Yeah. But I'm so glad to have you here. I'm so glad. And
I'm glad to be here.
And wish you a good luck and be safe for the whole trip. Yes,
Thank you.
yes. If you can make it back to Hostel 16, please come back.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for cooking for us.
If you ever happen to find yourself in Bangkok, I'd encourage you to visit Hostel 16 and say hello to Pond. I've stayed in quite a few hostels on my unicycle ride, but I've never been made to feel quite as welcome as I felt here.
I'm on my way back to start riding again. Going to a place called Pat Chong, and then from there I can ride to where I finished, where I paused my ride last time. Looking forward to getting back on the road. I thought I'd take the train because it's quite quick and it's super cheap. This fare cost me under £1. Granted, it cost me about £3 to get my unicycle onto the train, but still, that's like £4 for a 3-hour journey, which is ridiculous. Wow. So there's not much safety on these then, just doors open. It's alright.
With the help of Maps.me, a free mobile app which I pretty much use exclusively for navigation, I found the exact point where I paused my ride 3 weeks ago.
This is a shot for when I return in about 2 weeks' time. This is where I stopped the ride. And now I can ride down this way and I can carry on.
You may think that in the grand scheme of a world tour, heading back on myself a mere 100 miles just to reconnect the route seems a little unnecessary. However, unicycling around the world is a challenge that I set for myself, and this far into my mission, I wasn't about to start cutting corners.
Alright, we've just rejoined the route, and now I'm going to Singapore. Should take me about 2 months. Woo!
Because I'd already seen Bangkok, I decided to route around the city to avoid having to unicycle in heavy traffic. My plan worked, and I was soon greeted with almost empty country roads.
Another beautiful day in Thailand. Ridiculously hot, but we're dealing with it. I'm drinking a lot of water. I've got this thing.
The Tri-Bar water bottle I'd picked up was actually working really well. The same with the new laptop front bag.
I was looking at the forecast, and apparently today is going to be like 39 degrees Celsius. Ouch!
So we go into this world in our heads. We know it's a dream, but it's so much clearer than reality. World in our heads. We enter a land of immortality.
Just as it was coming up to midday, the hottest part of the day, I spotted a monk by the side of the road. With my dodgy Thai, I asked him his name.
Koncho Araikap. Ganjon. I'm Edward. Yeah.
We struggled to communicate, but I learned that Gangjong was on a pilgrimage, and is either planning to, or already has, walked through Malaysia, Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia by himself. As well as sleeping in his hammock at night, he tells me that he also sleeps in monasteries along the way. Everything he owns he either carries in 2 smallish bags over his back,
with a Bose speaker inside,
or wrapped up around his cane.
And that's how you do it. Okay.
How cool is the top of his cane? But if this wasn't mad enough, the most remarkable thing I found out about Gangjong is that he didn't have any shoes, and was choosing to walk what must have been thousands of miles on incredibly hot roads, barefoot.
But his feet, it's hardcore.
I thanked him for letting me take some photos, and then left him in peace to chill out in his hammock in the shade.
Oh, I felt so sorry for his feet, man. Why? Yeah, I guess it's some kind of pilgrimage, some kind of religious walk. And that's kind of the rule that he's set upon himself, that he's going to do it barefoot. That's admirable, that really is. My rule is to unicycle, his rule is to walk barefoot. Kudos.
As I continued pedalling south through Thailand's central region, over the next few days I found myself travelling near the coast. Feeling the need to cool off from the sweltering days, one evening I followed a sign to a restaurant by the sea. The owner charged me 20 baht, a little under 50p, to camp there, so I pitched up and excitedly made my way to the water's edge to cool off. The only slight issue with this plan was that the sea, having been heated by the sun all day, was a little like an unpleasantly hot bath, so I didn't quite think that one through. Oh well, it was still fun to have a quick dip. Over the next week, I didn't film as regularly as I had been, choosing to just enjoy riding through the Thai countryside without feeling the pressure of having to try and capture everything. Having said that, I still picked up the camera occasionally.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It rained a lot, and as we were reaching rainy season, this wasn't a surprise, especially when you look at the lush vegetation everywhere. I was also invited by some monks to camp in their monastery. Unlike Gangjong, the barefoot travelling monk I'd met a few days ago, these guys wore sandals and had been living here for years.
But how many? So 1, 2, 3, 4... How many in the whole area?
10.
10? Only 10?
In the morning, they kindly gave me a breakfast of eggs and rice. Later on in the week, I met a guy called Adong.
Okay. That chap that just passed, he just invited me to his home.
Following him to his house, I soon learnt that he was a tattoo artist, and as he was inking his friend that night, he was happy to let me watch. This chap was getting a tiger tattoo, or rather he was getting a tiger to cover up a smaller tiger he obviously wasn't very happy with. A couple of hours later, it was done, and while I probably wouldn't choose this tattoo for myself, Adung's friend seemed very pleased with it. Now, from watching my videos, you might have spotted a kind of theme appearing.
Tomorrow is literally my last day in Vietnam. I need to ride 81 miles to Vientiane today. That sign says Bangkok is 380 kilometers away. I've got to do that in 4 days.
So, time management isn't my strong suit, and it seems to result in me always having to make a mad dash on my unicycle to get somewhere on time. Be that the Laos border, the Thailand border, or most recently Bangkok to see my sister. Now, I'd like to say that I'd learned from my mistakes in the past, and I was going to reach Malaysia in plenty of time before my Thai visa expired. Yeah, I'd like to say that.
I've got 250 miles to ride in the next 4 days.
So, as it was, I'd again stupidly left myself with a very tough, very avoidable challenge ahead. This time, it was to push myself 62 miles every day for the next 4 days to reach the Malaysian border. Oh, and if you've forgotten, I need to do this all on a unicycle. But enough complaining. Not knowing what happens if you overstay your Thai visa, and not particularly wanting to find out, I kept on pushing myself south towards the border.
So we go into this world in our heads. We know it's a dream, but it's so much clearer than reality. A world in our heads. We enter a land of immortality.
I last cut my hair 1 year ago. Today is the day it goes. I last cut my hair 1 year ago. Today is the day it goes.
My name's Ed Pratt. Previously, I had a bit of a challenge on my hands. Unicycled 250 miles to the Malaysian border before my Thai visa expired in 4 days. Having pushed hard to ride back-to-back metric centuries over the past 3 days, we picked this challenge back up just 8 hours until visa expiration.
Good morning. Today is quite an exciting day. My Thai visa expires today, and the border into Malaysia is 60 miles that direction.
The fire's out, your heart is cold, a perfect fit, your touch was gold. Fight it off and spin the wheel, it might be tough, but break the seal. The sky is lit by a moon of white, the stars are gone, it can't be right. A pale blue face, your sorrows drown, stagger to me or die trying. I was left to burn through a building of fire with no house or home. People call me a liar.
What's the name?
There's no name in English. Salad.
Salah.
Salad. Indonesia salad.
Just stopped at a shop to get a Coke and some salty crisps because I need that in this heat. And the owner just gave me these, which are called Salah. It's kind of fruit, but it tastes lovely. They're similar. It's like a cross between. It's like a cross between mango and pineapple. It's really nice.
With my stomach full of Coke crisps and Salah, I kept moving. Bins, the guy I met at the shop, told me that the border building actually closed at 5 o'clock and not midnight like I'd assumed. With 30 miles left to ride and 4.5 hours remaining, I had time, but only just.
Seek what's won, and you will lose. You're on the run to hide from who? Down your drink and say goodbye.
20 miles left, done 40 miles today, and I've got 2 hours and 50 minutes to make it to Malaysia. I think I'll do it. It's getting a bit tight, but I reckon we'll be all right. Fingers crossed, we should make it. Woo.
I was left to burn through a building of fire with no.
So Malaysia's pretty much my last country that I'm going to be properly cycling through. And then I'll finish Eurasia. Woohoo! Wow. Who'd have thought it, eh? crossing Eurasia on a unicycle.
I'm getting a bit tired now, but almost there. Okay, yeah, exactly 10 miles. So I've got an hour and 55 minutes to do 10 miles. That's very doable. I'm sweating like a pig, but it's a nice road. Yeah, I'm pretty shiny. Got sweat dripping from my chin. My legs and my bum are starting to fatigue pretty badly, but I can't stop. So right before the border, we get a little hill climb. Steady cap. The last few hundred meters, you can do this. Wienentiane border checkpoint, baby! Got away with it. Woo! Oh yeah. Wienentiane border post, Thailand, Malaysia. That's it then. I made it. I will catch you at the other side. So that was kind of tight. I ended up crossing into Malaysia at 4:20, just 40 minutes before the border closed. Or so I thought. Later I learned that this border at Wienentiane actually closes an hour later at 6 PM. So in the end, I guess I didn't need to push myself quite as hard as I did. But as much as it hurt, I did get a kick out of the challenge. And at the end of the day, I crossed into Malaysia without any hassle. And that's the main thing. I think that's the closest I've been to overstaying my visa. But I did it! I'm in Malaysia. Country number 20 then. And if you forget about the 15 miles or so across tiny Singapore, Malaysia will effectively be the last country I'll be crossing in Asia. How mad is that? However, even with 60 miles under my belt already, this day wasn't quite over. Because I'd exhausted my supply of food and water, this is literally the last piece of food that I have. I needed to keep pushing to the next town. Unfortunately, this required me to ride a further 10 more miles, with the added bonus of a steep hill climb. Shattered, I eventually reached Kaki Bukit and met Roman, who owned a guest house there in this small town.
Tell your friend, the Malaysia is the right place to visit. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Luckily, he accepted my Thai baht and gave me a room for around £6. I'm in Malaysia. I made it to Malaysia and I didn't get stuck at the border for overstaying my visa and did well today. I feel accomplished. I did about 70 miles, which is the biggest day I've done in a long time. Good night. After a 400-mile week, I needed a break. I stayed put in Kaki Bukit for 2 days, where I mainly just slept. When I did finally get moving again, I passed through Kangar to take out some Malaysian ringgit. Riding out of Kangar, I spotted 2 people up ahead on bicycles that looked suspiciously to me like cycle tourists. Hello! Hi! Where are you from? France. This is Camille and Louis from France. They had travelled by bicycle and train from Europe, through Russia and China to reach Southeast Asia, and, well, you know what? Why don't I just let Louis explain? Bonjour. We are now going to switch to French.
Bonjour, alors en français, parce qu'on parle pas très bien anglais. Donc Camille et Loïc, on voyage à vélo depuis la France. Et voilà, on fait un petit tour de l'Eurasie. Et on a fait 14 pays, c'est le 14e pays la Malaisie. Et donc ensuite là on va vers Singapour, on se dirige vers Singapour pour éventuellement prendre un avion vers l'Inde. Et ensuite on ne sait pas, on n'a pas de programme particulier. On verra. Voilà.
Merci. So, as they were also heading south, we decided to team up for a bit and ride together. Louis and Camille were lovely, and as it had been 5 months since I'd ridden with Will in China, I'd forgotten how much energy I draw from travelling with others.
I don't know, maybe a cool friend. Oh,
Meeting other cyclists on the road is one of the aspects I've really enjoyed about my world tour. Before I left home, I really had no idea how many other people were out there in the world travelling by bicycle. But it's always amazing to me how you can just randomly meet strangers cycling on the road and instantly connect over the shared love of cycle touring.
It's too hot today. I last cut my hair 1 year ago. Today is the day it goes. It's far too hot here. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't matter. This is about practicality, and if I'm cooler by doing it, then fantastic.
Yeah, you look super cool, Ed.
Good morning. We slept there last night. It's an abandoned building. I don't know what it is. There's a car coming. I need to move this camera. Hello.
One lunchtime, Louis taught me how he knocked down wild mangoes from the trees.
Oh, this one, yeah? It's yellow.
They were delicious. Over the next couple of days, the three of us hugged the west coast of Malaysia, which looks out over the Malacca Strait. One evening we turned up in Kuala Kurau town and were invited to stay in a recently built community hall. It seemed like half the town came out to meet us.
Not only were we given a place to stay, we were also given a few gallons of water and 6 burgers. This is the man that gave the burgers. Delicious. Like, oh yes. Yeah.
After thanking our hosts for their wonderful hospitality, the next morning we carried on riding south, and soon found ourselves pedalling through the centre of a huge palm tree plantation. That afternoon, we met a group of guys chilling out in the shade.
Okay, nice to meet you. Come to my area. What's your name?
Camille.
Camille. You?
Edward.
Huh?
Edward.
Edward.
And you?
Siwa.
Siwa? Okay. Nice
Siwa.
to meet you.
Okay,
And you work here?
drive a lorry.
Drive lorry?
I guess I come to here and drink.
I understand.
Pastime.
We'd assumed that these guys worked here, harvesting the palm oil, but Siwa told us that every Tuesday, he and his truck driving mates meet up in this spot to drink together. What do they drink, I hear you ask? Fermented coconut milk. Yeah, I didn't know you could do that either.
So the milk goes directly into the pot, and then that gets fermented by the sun, and then they collect, and then we drink.
One of the skinnier guys, Andre, climbed one of the nearby palm trees to show us how they collected the milk in a bucket.
Yeah.
Kalian semua.
Where is it?
Listen here, yeah? Wow, amazing.
Taste.
Taste. Of course.
Thailand memiliki bukan? Thailand orang dulu.
Thailand.
Udah Bangkok dia pun dia orang.
Finish.
Finish.
After to cycling, wow.
Relax, slow and steady, relax.
Relax,
I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the best drink I've ever had, but I appreciated the effort these guys went to show us how they spent their days off.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Because we didn't want to drink so much that we lost the ability to balance our bikes, we waved goodbye and headed back to the road.
Feeling a little bit wobbly. That was fun. Yeah, I'm okay.
With fermented coconut milk coursing through our veins, we pushed onwards towards Singapore. Come back next week for the final instalment of Ed Unicycle's Southeast Asia.
That's the police. Almost to the top. This is going to be the bottom of my Asia and of my ride.
On the 28th of January 2017, I entered Vietnam. My aim? Cycle the length of Southeast Asia on a unicycle. This was all part of a much larger challenge, to become the first person to unicycle around the circumference of the globe. Heading south, I had my sights set for Singapore, as it marked the end point of this Southeast Asian leg. It also, excitingly, marked the end point of my second continent. 3.5 months and 2,000 miles after entering Vietnam, I'd reached Malaysia, and with just 500 miles until my finishing point at the southern tip of Singapore, the end was certainly in sight. Last time in the series, I'd teamed up with French couple Loic and Camille, who had also cycled from Europe. While riding through a palm plantation, we met some truck drivers who offered us some home-brewed fermented coconut milk. A lovely offer, but one glass was more than enough. Alright, recap over. Please enjoy this final instalment of Ed Unicycle's Southeast Asia. The population of Thailand is overwhelmingly Buddhist. When I crossed into Malaysia, it was obvious to see the shift from Buddhism to Islam. I enjoyed hearing the call to prayer again, and with many mosques now frequently dotted along our route, they often gave us a good, safe option of somewhere to camp. One night, we stopped in the car park of this one, and while we waited for the imam to arrive, we cooked our night's meal.
We've just turned up in a mosque. We want to ask if we can sleep here, but the imam, he doesn't arrive for another hour. So we're gonna cook our dinner, and then hopefully he'll arrive and he'll say, yeah, you can camp here.
Let's be open.
When he did arrive, Loic went to ask him if we could camp in the car park that night.
And it's okay. It's okay, no problem for the night.
Fantastic.
He agreed, but instead of the car park, he invited us to camp on the balcony of his mosque. And even let us use the showers. The next morning was a slightly sad one. Loic and Camille were planning to start travelling inland, whereas I was carrying on along the coast directly to Kuala Lumpur. Because of this, it made sense to part ways.
But it was a very good experience to cycling with Ed, yeah, and to speak English a little.
No, you spoke a lot. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih banyak.
I really enjoyed the week that we'd spent together, and I wish for only friendly people and safety on the roads ahead of them.
Really, really nice week. And I think, yeah, it's just one of the lovely things about travelling in this way. And I think travelling in general is that you just don't know who you're going to meet. And often, especially if you're on the road riding, if you meet other cyclists, they're generally going to have a similar kind of mindset to you, and yeah, it just worked. It's just nice to ride with nice people.
Alone again, and 100 miles from the capital, I pedalled onwards towards Kuala Lumpur.
Thank you. Terima kasih. All right, give me a tea, an iced tea. Ooh, it's lovely out here. Exciting news! I am about 75 miles from Kuala Lumpur. Woo! So I'll be there tomorrow night. You can't see me, but I'm now on the highway. Not totally sure if bikes are allowed. I've been on this for about 20 miles, something like that. Getting a bit sore. Yeah, definitely tired now.
Okay, riding down the busy highway in the dark probably wasn't my smartest move. But I did reach Kuala Lumpur that night and met Isabel, Simon and Leo, friends of friends I'll be staying with while I was in the city. Because they're also keen cyclists, one morning Simon, Leo and I rode into the centre to attend KL Car-Free Morning.
Leo, pedal forwards. Right. Pedal forwards. Pedal forwards. Pedal forwards.
Every other Sunday morning, a 5-mile loop of Kuala Lumpur centre is closed to cars and open only for bicycles. Well, and unicycles.
I got you. Now just ride around. Coco, stay on the side with Ed.
Underneath the Petronas Towers, I met Henry and Wong, who coincidentally were out riding the loop on their unis.
Wow, is that a custom build?
Yeah,
you made it?
Yes.
And incredibly, Henry had built the frame of his unicycle himself.
I love the seat.
This one very soft.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But this wasn't the only random unicyclist encounter I'd have that day.
Do you mind saying how old you are?
I'm 58.
And
58 years old.
And Amy has just decided last month to learn how to unicycle.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
You take that? Oh, I'm so happy. I'll let you know when I can cycle.
Yeah, I'd like to see. Love meeting unicyclists. And Amy was incredible. 58 years old and learning how to unicycle. Amazing. More of you watching this should do that.
I'm watching you.
Go away! Go away, silly camera!
Simon and Isabel generously said that I could stay at theirs for as long as I needed. As I had months' worth of China footage to make into videos, I ended up staying 2 weeks in the city. I spent my time editing, catching up with friends on Skype, and as I needed to fix a crack in my unicycle's rear mudguard, I spent a day riding around in search for someone with an argon welder. I found one, and luckily the chap operating it did a neat job. One evening, I headed out with Simon to cycle around a racetrack. Sepang International Circuit is open a few nights a year to cyclists that just want to blast around its smooth tarmac.
I don't know how many people are here, but at a guess there's at least a few thousand.
It was great fun. Simon worked as head of secondary at Park City International School, so he invited me to take over a morning's assembly to talk about my world unicycle tour. I'm not going to lie, faced with entertaining a room full of hundreds of kids, I was a little daunted.
So, I'd like to introduce to you all Ed Pratt. So, I think you might want to have a little look at the back of the hall.
Hello! Okay. Hello, my name's Ed Pratt. I've been riding around the world for 2 years now on this ridiculous bike. And yes, it is as hard as it looks. The worst thing, or one of the worst things in Kazakhstan, was the mosquitoes. They're just going in my mouth, they're going everywhere. This is just awful. Well, at least the sun's setting. Look at the sunset. Isn't that nice? Isn't that pretty? Yeah, enjoy that, because I can't.
Next thing is, I wondered if any of you had some questions. We don't have a huge amount of time, but does anybody have any questions they want to ask?
How did you shower? Did you ever get to shower?
There are times on this trip where I didn't shower for maybe 2 weeks.
How do you take the pictures with you in it?
So what I do is I stop, I'll then run off down the road, I'll put the camera down, I'll then run back to my bike, and then I'll cycle past. And once I've cycled past, I'll pick up the camera and then go.
Ed, do you get sores on your bottom?
Badly, yeah. So, have any of you done a long walking trip? So imagine how bad your feet get. They get blistered, they get sweaty. Imagine that, but on your bum.
Thank you very much, everyone. A final round of applause for Ed.
Thank you. Thank you. And have a nice day. I reckon that assembly went pretty well, you know. Just a quick aside, I do just want to take the opportunity here to say that if you're looking for a public speaker to talk about their experiences unicycling around the world, I am available for hire. As this video was filmed 2 years ago, I've since completed my world tour and I'm back in the UK. So if you'd like to book me for your event, or present your school assembly like you just saw, please contact me. You'll find my email in the description of this video. Alright, I'll stop selling myself now. Back to the international school in Kuala Lumpur.
They were asking for his autograph and everything. Like they were coming up to me, these little children, like going, "Look at this," and showing me his autograph, scribbled on a bit of paper, a random bit of paper.
I drew the line with flesh. They were like, "We done a paper, just sign my arms." No, got a piece of paper, I'll sign it. But I'm not going to start signing.
Fantastic.
Kids. So we're here at the big giant Buddha, biggest Buddha in the world. Haven't seen it yet. I think there's a lot of steps before we do.
And Ed thinks the face looks like Mr. Bean.
Okay, still in Kuala Lumpur. Been here for just over a week now. Today has been a video editing day. I'm still working on the China stuff. And it's weird because I'm editing stuff of Will, Super Cycling Man, and he is gonna come here today.
Alright, we're back.
Nice.
Part 3. Will and Ed cycle around the world.
Just a little adventure this time, getting some Indian food. But
That's a good adventure. It's possibly our best adventure yet.
Yeah.
He just keeps appearing, doesn't he? It was great to see Will for a 4th time, but unfortunately he wasn't sticking around, as he'd only flown to Kuala Lumpur for a quick visa run.
And I've just been taking it easy and enjoying Thailand. And I'm sort of got stuck in Bangkok. I've got to go and see a doctor in Bangkok to sort out my stomach. I've been getting some stomach issues. And not just the shits, something a bit worse than that.
Yeah.
So I've just gone on a visa run to Kuala Lumpur and amazing you're in town. It's on the video that I took. She says, "Oh, I remember Ed, he's so cute with his long hair." And I was like, "Oh, you think he's cute, do you?"
Will had to go out to the embassy the next day, but when he got back to Simon and Isabel's, we decided to make the most of the few hours we were back in the same place and head out on a little adventure.
Here we go! You're so cheeky.
We were heading for the entrance to the Tabor Trail, a hike that would take us up Bukit Tabor, a small mountain in the northeast of KL. When we arrived, we discovered yellow warning tape draped all over the entrance. Simon had told us that sadly, a few hikers had recently lost their lives falling off the mountain here, and in response, the Forestry Commission had officially closed off this route. Now, if we were sensible people, we'd have turned around at this point. However, let me just remind you that you're dealing with one guy attempting to ride around the world in a superhero costume, and another doing the same thing on a unicycle. We're not sensible, and we were definitely going in.
Cool, well done, Will.
My heart is racing.
It's a bit extreme, isn't it?
Just to reassure you that we weren't being totally stupid here, Simon had told us that he'd recently taken his son Leo up on this hike, and that he thought as long as we were careful, we'd be absolutely fine. But I certainly wouldn't have called it a hike. More of a scramble, with the aid of ropes and metal anchor points on the rock for safety. It was great fun.
Ed.
What?
I was following you. It's always a bad idea. Smell the difference.
Nice.
Almost at the top. Not quite.
To celebrate reaching the top, we broke out the sweaty curry we've been carrying in our backpacks for hours.
A chicken puff curry thing and some curry sauce.
On top of a little mountain in
Kuala
Lumpur, yeah.
It may not have been on quite the same scale as cycling through China together, but it was equally just as enjoyable to scramble up a hill and share a curry. Even if Will did insist on inhaling it.
Chug.
God, Will.
Oh my god, that's good. Genuinely the most tired I've been.
So that was it for our fourth encounter.
And genuinely the most scared.
Where we'd meet next was anyone's guess.
Can't get away from you, Will.
And the fifth time?
In the UK, I think.
You never know. You never know what super cycling man's going to do. Alright, I better go and pick up the visa for Thailand.
Farewell.
Au revoir. As they say in Kuala Lumpur.
It was soon time for me to leave as well. I thanked Isabel, Simon and Leo, said goodbye and hit the road once more. With only 300 miles remaining to Singapore, I was fueled with excitement to complete my tour of Southeast Asia. Four days after leaving KL, I cut away from the coast and headed inland towards Johor Bahru. This city would be my last in Malaysia, and luckily for me, a Brit from my home county, Somerset, had offered me a bed for when I arrived. However, not unlike riding into Kuala Lumpur, to get there I didn't really have any other choice than to take the busy highway.
That's the police! But they're being very kind. I shouldn't be on this road, but they're going to escort me the next 10 kilometres. To where I need to be.
I arrived just before a storm hit and found Mark, who'd first emailed me 2 years ago.
We both went to Wellington School, and Ed posted that the school posted that Ed was doing this crazy cycle around the world, so I had to look it up and saw on his route he was coming via Johor, so I just emailed him to say, look me up when you get here, and he said, it will be a long time.
2 years, I'd say that was a long time. Mark and his wife took care of me extremely well and fed me up for my final push to Singapore. With just 25 miles left to ride, the next morning I hit the road and started my final day.
Onto the border. To get through this traffic light, I think I need to be over there, and I don't know how to get over there. Wow.
I was aiming for the causeway, a 1 kilometre strip of man-made land that would take me over the Straits of Johor to my final country in Asia.
Oh yeah, I think this is it. I think this is the border. Do I need this one as well? This is the causeway to Singapore. And after 2.5 hours of waiting in a queue of motorcyclists, I'm in Singapore. Okay, here we go, Ed. Here we go. Let's go behind this big guy.
But my final destination wasn't just to reach Singapore. I wanted to find the most southern tip of Singapore, because today I wasn't only completing my Southeast Asian journey, but also my entire journey across Asia.
Change! Change! Just change! Yeah! Green light! This ain't so hard. I thought Singapore was going to be mental traffic.
It had been really tough going riding through Singapore, but I was now almost at the bottom.
Just coming onto the bridge now to Sentosa.
Sentosa lay claim to having the official most southerly point on continental Asia. So naturally, this is where I was heading.
I think there is some dispute between Malaysia and Singapore, whatever. For me, this is going to be the bottom of my Asia and of my ride.
My final obstacle was a short, narrow rope bridge. I pushed the unicycle over, and finally I'd made it. There were many tourists there. This group of girls sitting on a tree asked if I could take a photo for them. And there were many other people at this spot, none of them knowing that I'd spent the last 2 years of my life riding a unicycle 13,000 miles to be here. I was tired and dirty, but triumphant.
Asia, baby!
So that's it. I just crossed my second continent and it was time to celebrate. Right? Well, not quite. Now, I don't know about you, but looking at my map, to me there seems to be a point on Sentosa that was just a tad further south. Knowing that I'd never be satisfied unless I at least checked it out, I headed back over the rope bridge in pursuit of what I believe to be the real southernmost point of Asia.
I've just taught my way into a gated community. I shouldn't be here, this is a residents only place. But I spoke to some of the residents and they kind of let me in.
And so, with those last few hundred feet of pedalling, I'd arrived. For real this time.
From my GPS, from what I can see, this is it. I'm satisfied with that. But I don't feel totally satisfied until I get this wheel in the water. So we're gonna get it down there.
Black holes like grapes on a vine.
Completing Asia was a massive moment. Knowing that continent number 2 was under my belt gave me confidence that all of this was indeed possible. I'll be the first to admit that what I'm undertaking here isn't easy. Unicycling around the world continues to be the toughest thing I've ever attempted. Even after 2 years of acclimatising to life on the road, it's still hard to be away from friends and family. And it still can be difficult to motivate myself every day to pack up my tent and start pedalling. Especially when I know I'm going to be aggravating existing saddle sores riding this very impractical mode of transport. So why then do I keep at it? I think stubbornness certainly plays a role. I've invested 2 years of my life into this endeavour. I'm over halfway, and I need to finish this. But I think more importantly, it's simply that despite missing home and having a sore bum, I seriously just love what I get to do every day. The freedom of being out in the world with no fixed schedule other than to cycle in a certain direction is incredible. And if you hadn't already gathered from my videos, I get a tremendous amount of pleasure sharing my love of unicycling, and I'm extremely grateful that I have this opportunity in my life to pursue this ridiculous challenge. Despite the physical tests of unicycling thousands of miles, climbing up arduous mountains, and collapsing from dehydration in the ridiculously humid climate, I'll really miss travelling through Southeast Asia. That, in no small part, is due to the incredibly warm-hearted people I met here. I'm so thankful that even though I turned up as a total stranger, I was often greeted like an old friend. Thank you everyone that supported me on this leg of the trip, be that by providing me water to drink, a floor of a bicycle shop to sleep on, a hot breakfast to enjoy, entertaining company for a few miles, a police escort for safety, a ride in a truck to Bangkok, or an invitation to a wedding celebration. As my ride moves eastwards into Australia and back to the Western world, I only hope that I'm welcomed quite as warmly there as I was in Southeast Asia.